Hello, my name's Alan Foom, and today I'm going to talk about so-called overqualified people. This is to enable recruiters and hiring managers to look at the potential of somebody rather than looking at their record and try to overcome prejudices. So, defining overqualified. What is a so-called overqualified person? Now, in my parents' cultures, overqualification just wasn't something that was an issue. You'd want to hire the best person that you can possibly get. So if you had somebody who went to Oxford or Cambridge working for you, you'd be so proud. Look, I've got somebody from Oxford working for me. In Anglo world, unfortunately, things aren't quite like that. So a person can be defined as being overqualified in terms of education. For example, a person who's a graduate working in a normally non-graduate role. Somebody's got postgraduate qualifications, master's or PhD, working for a role which normally only requires a bachelor's. Somebody's got professional qualifications, for instance, chartered status, where that isn't a strict requirement. Or somebody who has experience which is above what is normally expected. So for instance, a manager working as an individual contributor, a senior manager working as a supervisor or frontline team lead, a very senior technical expert working in a slightly lower level role, somebody who's got a great deal of length of service and significant previous contributions and achievements, someone's got extensive skills and capabilities, and somebody who may have worked for prestigious prior employers. So let's talk a little bit about the elephant in the room. So what are the concerns about overqualified people? And I'll go into this in a little bit of length. So questions somebody would ask is, why someone as qualified as you interested in this job? Why do you want to work for us? Why are you available? Will you leave us as soon as you can get something better? Are you really interested and why? So people have these prejudices and there's concerns that need to be allayed. And the concerns fundamentally work on three main fields. There's compatibility in chemistry, commitment and desire, and competence and learning abilities. So there's an elephant in the room there that needs to be addressed. Now, the main concerns would break down to these particular fields. So, management. Can you be managed by me? Will you fit in with the management structure here? Will you be willing to learn and adapt to do things our way? Obviously, you might bring a little bit of something extra, but we have a set of structures and you need to work with them. And if that's not right for you, sorry. Motivation. This is a big one for a lot of people, a big prejudice. Will you get bored? Will you muck in and get your hands dirty and do the work, or are you going to sit in an ivory tower? Are you going to look for something better? And do you think you know it all already? Okay, these are questions that need answering. Will you fit in here? Will you fit in with my team? Will you work well with my customers? Will you complain that things were always better at your old organization and that you're slumming it? You know, do you have too much pride? And then the money. Will you feel that you're underpaid and will you seek more compensation? So those are concerns, they're legitimate concerns, and you need to address them. So if you look overqualified, what can you do about it? Now, first of all, some people will continue to be prejudiced. Just like some people are racist, some people are sexist, some people are ageist, some people are anti-intellectual, some people will be against what they perceive to be overqualified people. Nothing you can do about that. These people exist, but there are people with open minds. But they have genuine concerns, which I've just listed previously. And they need reassurance, so you've got to think, what's the best way to do it? So, first concern, and the main concern that many managers have, is will you be managed by me? So, what can you do about it? You can show that you can work and be managed by a variety of people, including people that are younger and less experienced than yourself. So there's a question of, let's say you've got a relatively young person who's a manager, and they've got a much older person that's working for them, and they think they're just going to tell me everything. Well, if you can show that you're open-minded, that you can learn, and you can work with a wide variety of people, you can allay that concern. Demonstrate your flexibility, demonstrate your willingness to learn, and ability to fit in with authority, ability to follow protocols, ability to do things their way. But at the end of the day, it's just down to individual chemistry, like with anything else in this sort of situation, with a management situation. So, motivation. Well, this person's achieved a lot. Can I motivate them? Will you be bored? Well, some things are boring, but you can show that you are focused on delivering the goods and not letting people down, even if the task isn't stretching. You've got to deliver the goods, you've got to be there, you've got to produce the results. even if it's not the most exciting thing in the world. Will you muck in and get your hands dirty? You can show that you can do that. When I was living in India, a friend of mine had a maid who said I'd only do top work. They're quite status conscious, and top work meant that I would only do dusting on shelves and things like that, and someone else can do wipe the floors. Well, I'm willing to wipe the floors, and if you can show that you're willing to wipe the floors, that's something that's there. And you can show that you can help and grow less experienced staff and be seen as a good motivator, as a backup person, as a helper to the manager. And demonstrate the extras you can actually bring. Again, in a way that you can show that you can learn, not that you know it all. Compatibility. Will they fit in here? You can show that you're flexible with working with a variety of people. That you can fit in and you're willing to fit in. Show evidence of adaptability, how you've worked in different settings, maybe different countries, different cultures. And show that you can deal with a culture shock. Now, you go to a new place of any description, whether it's a new country, a new company, a new organization, there will be a culture shock. And you can show that, yes, you can deal with that, you've got a support network around you, you're willing to learn, you're willing to do things, and you've got a goal. And you need to tone down their apparent pride. Some people would feel a little bit intimidated if you, let's say, have a PhD from Cambridge, or a PhD from Oxford or Stanford or MIT, Imperial College, or you've worked for a very prestigious organization. So tone it down. Just sort of say, I'm here to help. I'm here to do things that's there. But again, it's down to individual chemistry. But it's got to be a situation where you need to adapt to their way of doing things. Money. Is a salary going to be okay? Well, you can say to recruit up front what you're going to accept. If that's what they're offering, this dragon's slain, so there's nothing to worry about. If the money's not okay, this could be a problem. So you need to think reasonably about this. But you can also show that money is not a major motivator for you. For instance, if you're relatively late in life and you're financially moderately secure, that your lifestyle factors and what you can achieve within a company doing a new thing might be more important to you. However, there are some people that will find it very difficult to believe that someone is going to take a lower salary, because money is a major motivator for them. So again, that's a challenge to work with people like who think that way. Commitment. Are you going to stay here long? Well, you can demonstrate commitment by previous roles. If you've done significant chunks of time at various different organizations where you've delivered the goods, you can do that. And show why you want this job. What's in it for you? What do you want to deliver? And also demonstrate growth potential within yourself and what you can bring to the party. So again, some people will find it difficult to think that someone is willing to take what is perceived to be a lower status job for long to medium term. I mean, again, you can try to show your commitment, etc., but I'm afraid that's a prejudice you may have to face. Learning ability. Can this chronologically gifted canine learn new tricks? Well, yes. So demonstrate that you've got a record of learning, show a desire to learn, adopting and adapting to new protocols, new ways of doing things, and demonstrate your growth potential. So yes, this chronologically gifted canine can do new things. So you've got to think why you want a job. And one place where you can try to explain that is through a covering letter, which you send in with your CV or resume. So explain why you. So focus on your flexibility, your competence, your compatibility, your willingness to deliver. And why us? What attracted you to this employment role? Why you may wish to switch? Focus on the pull factors. What's bringing you here? And if you do have a chance to talk to a hiring manager or a recruiter in a phone conversation, try to allay their fears and concerns, because they will have them even if they don't say them. So if you bring it out up front, it shows that A, you understand that they have concerns, and B, you're trying to allay them. Another question people ask is, should I dumb down my CV? In a word, don't. Don't pretend to be less than you are. This is what you've been, this is what you've done. And however, you may need to take the CV to a role. So emphasize what is relevant. It might just tone down the rest. So, okay, I'm doing this, but I did a stint at NASA. That's just a sentence. I didn't actually do a stint at NASA, but you know what I'm trying to say. So there aren't any gaps. Or if there are situations where you've been out for a particular reason, an explanation as to what you've been doing. Use job titles that are understood in everyday life by everyday people, rather than directive team making. There's certain organizations that tend to big up job titles. So, for instance, within banking, a managing director is actually a mid-level manager. Whereas in other fields, managing director is the top person. So people think, oh, this person's so important. So you might want to make the titles equivalent. Obviously, when it comes to references, you can then explain when you get to that stage, which is when they pretty much decided to hire you, that these are the titles that we use, but this is what I was actually doing. So that when the reference matches. And focus on your skills rather than chronological service. Show what you can do, because they're interested in what you can do for them. They're interested in the benefits that come, not the features. But some people are still going to be prejudiced. So, unfortunately, that's something you need to face. This is a slide I used earlier on several other talks. So about what motivates somebody to take a role. So again, all of these is relevant in this situation. So will I fit in here? The people factor. What the tasks are. Task factor, the lifestyle factor, and the money factor. And when you're talking to a potential employer, explain which ones of these are important to you and which motivate you. So this may allay some of their concerns. Do your values match? Now, companies proclaim all sorts of values from the rooftops. Do they actually live them? Well, some of them do to some extent. And what are their real values? Again, what's their reputation like, and how does it compare now that you've actually met them? So what are your values? What are the main things you need from a job? What are you prepared to do, and do you really mean it? So getting some information from trusted contacts, Glassdoor, etc. would be there. And think carefully, is it really a match or just something you can live with? So see where you are and see where you are being. Another factor is something which I've used before and something else, which is the immigrants, refugees, and exiles. So if an immigrant is somebody who's looking forward to being in a new place, so somebody who's going to a new place, the promised land, Statue of Liberty. But if you're likely to be overqualified, you're likely to be in either the refugee or the exile part. So refugees are people displaced from the past but looking to the future, like the Vietnamese boat people. So be a refugee. Don't be like Napoleon and Elba, being an exile, struggling to adjust to the past. Show that you are in the top two categories. Refugees are good, immigrants are good, exiles less so. So what are the employers looking for? So you need to emphasize these if you're overqualified, allegedly. Emphasize your enthusiasm, that you really want to be here, you've got a positive attitude. Emphasize your learning ability, that you've learnt before, you'll learn again. Emphasize your flexibility and how you can adapt to their way of doing things. And your professionalism, the business and life skills that you need to deliver results which you've seen you through in the past. Less emphasis, probably because they already know this, is things like your skills, your experience, your knowledge, and your network. Well, yeah, you've got all of that. But if you're looking for somebody, if you look like you're somebody who's overqualified, you don't want to go emphasizing this too much because they think that you know it all already and you'll only come with pre-packed solutions rather than learning to adapt to their way of doing things. So summarize key points. Some recruiters and hiring managers will be prejudiced against overqualified people, but there are open-minded people out there and you need to try to find them. Even open-minded people have got genuine concerns. Concerns about your chemistry, how you're going to get on with the people, concerns about your desire and commitment, and concerns about your flexibility and adaptability. So allay them. Work out what the concerns are and say, well, yes, I know that you're concerned about this, but I can do this and I can deliver for you here. Then, is this really right for you? Why do you want this job? And you need to have the answer in order to convince them. And remember all the extras you can bring to the role. You've got a lot to offer, and you need to offer it, and you will solve somebody's problem. Thank you very much.